So we finished our depreciation expense. We finished out our amortization expense. So let's see what is next. So here it says right here that we need to adjust the office supplies, okay? Because now we have only $80 on hand, okay? So if you guys remember, by taking a look at your ledger, okay, if I go to my office supplies account, which is in assets, okay, let's see, my office supplies account, how much do I actually have in my office supplies?
$150.
I have $150. So if I'm saying that I need to adjust my office supplies, right? Because I've obviously, when I buy my office supplies, I'm going to use it. In this case, it tells me that I have only $80 left on hand. So therefore, how much did I actually use?
$70.
You used $70, okay? So in this case, I need to record that I used $70. Now, in this case, we have an account called office supplies expense. That's just to determine how many of our items we use. So instead of how we did the cost of materials, right? We used the sugar, we used the creamer, that one's to be towards a product. In this case, this is just because we bought office supplies such as printer paper, etc., pens to write down. So in this case, this one's more for operating expenses, not for inventory or for sales. So in this case, office supplies expense is going to represent you using the items. So office supplies expense, and of course, you're going to be crediting your office supplies because we need to represent in our books that we don't have 150, we only have 80 left. So, office supplies expense account is 767.50. And let's see, our office supplies is account number 11800. Okay. And like Kim said, if we have $80 remaining, that means we must have spent we must have spent $70 or used $70. Okay. And here I'm just going to go ahead and make my note to say to adjust office supplies for usage in June. I don't know, to use the office supplies in the month of June, whatever you want to say. All right. And since we are already here in our office supplies asset account, I'm going to go ahead and just place it in here. Okay. It is 6:30. This is once again an adjustment entry. You don't need to write anything more because you're going to subtract $70. So it already kind of, it's already given. Okay. It's the 23rd journal, I believe, still. And we're going to credit the amount by $70 because that's exactly how we journalized it. We journalized that we're going to decrease the office supplies account. Okay. So here, your formula should result you into the exact amount of 80, which That's exactly what we have on hand, is that we have $80 worth of supplies left in our office supplies cabinet, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Okay. So now that we solved this part, right? Last thing that we got to do here is go to our operating expenses, because now we need to update our office supplies account. So here it is, office supplies expense. This is an adjustment. Okay. General journal number 23. And this time we're going to debit for $70 because that's what we want to say, that we used $70 worth of our supplies. Okay. Everyone okay? Everyone good?
So far, so good.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so the last two things that we have here that we have left to adjust is going to be the payments that are going to be made for the month of June. So in this case, right, we need to accrue the amount that Irene and Albert, we have to accrue them. So then we have our total expenses for the month of June. So in this case, right here, it says that Irene, we're gonna do Irene's first, okay? And she worked a full week. So a full week is 5 days, right? Since her last paycheck was on Friday, right? She continued to work and clocked in her hours for that week, right? That Monday, that Tuesday, that Wednesday, and that Saturday and that Sunday, because it is now Sunday, right? If you look at a calendar. So she worked a full week. So that's 5 days. Okay. Now here's the assumption here. We're not paying her yet. So in that case, if we're not going to pay her, none of the calculations that we have to do, such as the figuring out what her taxes are not going to be calculated. Why? Because first off, we're just accruing her hours. We're just recording how many hours that she has worked and how much money that we actually owe her. But in this case, right, it's not payday. Payday is not until the next Sunday, right? The next Sunday is the closing date for the pay period. And then we have to pay her that following Friday. So in this case, we're not paying her yet. So in this case, she's still racking up her amount of, amount of hours that she needs to be able to work. So in this case, we're just only recording the amount that we owe her. So, in this case, if I owe her money, right, how am I going to go about this? How can I accrue someone's earnings? Any guesses?
Can you repeat the question?
How do
one more
I
time?
how do I accrue for Irene's work? Cuz she's so far worked a full week. How do I accrue that? How do I record how much she's earned so far?
So you're recording her payment just to know how much your expenses are for the month, or to make sure that you have the money to pay her?
Correct. But we're not paying her today because her pay period isn't until the next following Friday. But I
So
do,
are you pay? Yeah. So you're gonna pay her in advance?
we're not going to pay her in advance. I just need to be able to record all the expenses that happened in June. And this is one of those expenses. But I'm not going to pay her yet.
So it will just build up until payday, right?
Correct. So, hence, listen to my words carefully. I need to
Okay.
record the expense, but I'm not going to pay her yet. So, what does that mean? If I'm not going to pay her,
If you're not gonna pay her yet, then it's gonna accumulate until she does earn them until you do pay her, right?
until I do pay her, but if I don't pay her now, what does that mean? If I'm not going to
I mean, she doesn't get paid right now.
she's not going to get paid. Okay, she's not getting paid right now, but if I'm not going to pay her yet, but I but she worked a full hour, so she earned that money. So if I'm not going to pay her today, what am I doing?
So you're just recording the expense.
I'm recording the expense, but I'm not paying her yet. So what does that mean?
So it's either payroll expense or salary and wages expense.
Okay, that's good. So salaries and wages expense, right? Because we need to record the amount that she earned for the month of June. So that is
And
correct.
payroll expense is not until you pay her. Is that correct?
Well, in this case, yes and no. In this case, usually, yes, you would use the expense if you're going to pay her. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to pay her yet. So what would if I don't pay her, what does that become?
A liability?
It
Salaries
becomes
and wages payable?
exactly because I'm just recording the expense that she earned for the month of June. Okay? And because I'm not willing to pay her today because it's not payday yet, therefore it becomes a liability because now I owe her money. Because in this case, right, when you're working for somebody and you earned your week of pay, she's obligated. Well, I mean, we're obligated to have to pay her because we're the company. She's working for us. We signed a legal contract to say we agree that we will pay you. So in this case, right, if she's earned the money, but we're not going to pay her today, therefore it becomes a liability because I owe her money, right? I owe her for the money that she earned because she worked for it. So in this case, it's going to become a salaries and wages payable. Good. Okay. All right. So my salaries and wages expense account is going to be $68.10. And then what's my salary and wages payable account? $24.10. So let's go ahead and accrue that amount. So this is where the subsidiary ledger is going to be used, right? Because we're dealing with our employees. employee. So, excuse me. So we're going to go to employees. All right. Her pay date is not until 2 weeks from now, right? Excuse me. So, Irene Jameson, you can type it in here, right? We're not paying her yet, but you do want to know how much she accrued so far. Here, it's just to tell you how much the money is because she's not going to get paid yet. What you can do here is at least find out what her pay rate is. In this case, it's $8.50. Excuse me. So $8.50. So she's worked a full week, $8.50 times 5 days. So in this case, I owe her, that's $8.50 times 5, a full, 5 days times 8, right? So she worked a full 40 hours. So therefore, she earned $340 so far, and I owe her for that. Okay? But I'm not going to calculate the amount of taxes yet because she's still earning. It's not her paycheck date yet. So in this case, she's earned so far $340 for her salaries and wages expense. Okay, and I owe her for that $340. Okay. So this is where you can go ahead and make your note. And I'm going to say to accrue Irene's earnings for June. Okay. And that is it right there, right? We just use a subsidiary ledger to figure out what her amount is that she is subject to be owed. In this case, she worked full 5 days, 8 hours, right? She signed up for 8-hour shifts. She's a full-time employee. So in this case, she earned $340. Okay. Now, if you're curious about what's going to happen when you actually pay her, it's the same thing, right? If we owe her for the salaries and wages payable, you're going to have both salaries and wages payable and both salary and wages expense in here, right? To equal up the total amount that she's going to be taxed for, right? So that's what we're doing here, is that we're just separating that we owe her and she's earned so far $340 for the month of June. Because once the next month rolls around, we need to calculate how much she earned in the month of July. Okay? So that is that. Okay? Once again, we're not paying her yet because she's still earning money, so therefore we don't need to calculate any payroll taxes yet. Okay? So since we're already here, go ahead and let's do Albert's commission. It's going to be the same thing, except we are not using salaries and wages payable. We are using commissions payable. So first one's commissions expense, because we're going to see how much Albert has earned, and then we're going to see how much we owe Albert. Okay. So now that's another reason why we have the subsidiary ledger, so we can actually pinpoint how much Albert has earned so far. So commissions, right? Here I'm gonna highlight, so this number right here. So he's earned so far $271 and 78 cents. $271.78. Okay, that's so far what he's earned in the month of June. Okay, 2,778.
Albert.
Well, I mean, he's worked hard enough, right? The first paycheck was just only 1 week's worth, so you have to understand that too. So so he should be getting a nice paycheck, about roughly $500 for the next one. But again, this is what he earned so far. Okay, so
Yeah, he could do it.
commissions. So commissions payable is going to be account number 24020, and then the commissions expense is going to be 6820. Right? And once again, we're going to go ahead and type in to accrue Albert's earnings based on 10% of sales in June. Okay. And I believe that's the last thing I have you guys do. Yep, because then you're going to have to create your adjusted trial balance. So if that's the case, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and create that black bar to let me know I am done with these transactions. I am done with my adjustments. So I'm going to be completing my adjusted trial balance. Okay. Okay. So now that I have my journal completely complete, my subsidiary ledger I'm done with. I don't need it anymore because I'm not going to pay anybody anything. I'm not going to need to look at my employees anymore or have to deal with my customers, okay? So from here on out, everything's going to be just internal. All you'll be needing is just your journal, your ledger, and your financial statements, right? We already talked about completing the inventory worksheet, so that's done. We completed our depreciation table, so that's done. So now we're done with the subsidiary ledger because the rest of the stuff is just closing out the the books. So let's go ahead and plug those numbers into our ledger and wrap up the rest of the day. So let's start with, let me see, what did we do? We did office supplies, right? So now we're going to go down to payroll expenses. Here we are, salaries and wages expense for the 30th. You're going to say this is an adjustment entry, and we are accruing Irene's earnings. Okay. General journal, I think we're still on 23 if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yes, we're still on 23. Okay. And she earned $340. So therefore, what is my total ending balance in my salaries and wages payable? Expense, excuse me. Salaries and wages expense account.
$884.
$884 even. Okay. And since we're already here, go ahead and just do Albert's as well, right? It's just right down below. So 630, right? Accrue Albert's earnings on 10%. Oops. Close you out. Okay, on 10% sales in June. Okay. General Journal 23. And once again, Albert has finally earned $271.78. Okay. Which then is going to bring me up to a grand total of commissions expense to be
$411.96.
$411.96. Okay. Excellent. Last accounts that we have to now do is going to be our liability accounts, right? For our payables, right? So first one we have is going to be salaries and wages payable. So let me look for it. Here's commission. There you go. Salaries and wages payable. Okay. Once again, to accrue Irene's earnings for June. General Journal 23. For a credit because now I owe Irene $340. Or sorry, the company owes. I keep saying I owe. But the company now owes Irene $340. Woo! Okay. And of course, right down below, you have the commissions payable. So you could go ahead and insert that as well to accrue Albert's earnings on 10% of sales in June. General Journal 23, and we owe Albert $271.78. Okay, which is going to be my credit balance. And there we have it. Now we've completed step number 6, 7, and 6. Well, we did 6. So tomorrow we're going to dive right into step 7, which is to complete the adjusted trial balance. And we're going to attempt step 8, which is to complete our financial statements. So tomorrow, a lot of information is going to come at you because what we've been doing so far is things that we've known before. Tomorrow is going to be all about completing the trial balance, which we've done before, and actually learning how to successfully compile our financial statements. Okay, so a lot of information is going to come at you tomorrow. Okay, all right. If you guys don't have any extra questions, okay, you guys